listening to Speaking with One Voice with Rodney Payne. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, topics you'd like discussed on the show, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. That's rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. You can also search for us on Acast, Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just look for Speaking with One Voice. Now, here's your host, Rodney Payne.
Hello and welcome to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. We're back again, and I'm excited to be with you again this week. As always, let me stop and say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for following us and listening to our podcast, for liking and rating and subscribing. So don't forget, we are on YouTube at Rodney R. Payne. All of our social media is at Rodney R. Payne, and our website is rodneyrpayne.com. You get the general flow there. It's pretty simple to find me, and I'm just grateful to have an opportunity to add value to you as a leader, your leadership team, each and every week. And I'm excited to be back with part 2. Last week, we started on a 2-part episode called growth, and growth is my word for the year. So let me talk about this. Last week, we learned about generosity, we learned about relationships, and we learned about ownership. So we're going to continue this journey this week and dig a little deeper. Are you ready? Go get your notepad. You want to write these things down. Why did I choose this word? Well, I typically look for a word that works for me to signify what I expect to experience in my personal life and professional life. Now, I've told you this before, but I feel like I need to tell you again. I don't celebrate small victories. I celebrate all victories. And I also believe in being the best version of yourself in every area of your life. So the word that I choose for the year has to impact me personally as well as professionally. And so this year it's growth. And that's where we are. Now, I did say on last week's episode, if I had one word that I live by, it's intentionality. Every lesson I write, every piece of content I write, somewhere intentionality kind of gets itself in there, because you will not grow through osmosis and you will not grow by accident. You are going to have to be intentional and make sure that you want to grow by investing in yourself. So remember, last week, generosity, relationships, ownership. Let's get into this thing today. Today, I want to start with the W, which is wisdom. Wisdom. Now, when we think about wisdom, wisdom is the application of knowledge, basically, is what I call it. If I could give you an equation that will kind of help get us started, wisdom is, it's an equation. It's C plus T plus A equals wisdom. What does that mean? Well, C is capacity. Anyone who has the capacity to learn can be a wise person. You can use wisdom, but you must first have capacity. You have capacity, my friend. You're here. You have capacity to learn. Well, capacity is the opening part, but we need to add to that the T, which is teaching. So capacity is your ability to learn, whereas teaching is how you get the information. And so as a lifelong learner, I want to encourage you to always be learning about being a better person, about being a better leader, about being a better team member. You want to always be learning. So we have C, capacity, plus T, teaching, plus A is application. If you don't have the A, you don't have wisdom. How many times have you said to yourself, oh, I know better than that? Well, if you know better than that, but don't do better than that, that makes you an unwise leader. There are times when we let things like emotions, passions, thoughts get in the way of our daily activities and our leadership, and we get off track. When we know better, one of the most practical things you can do is, one, before you even type a text out, write it somewhere else in a notes app and look at what you're about to say before you send it. Because if you respond to something quickly, that's unwise. Why? Because you cannot click undo. You can't take back what you've said. You've allowed the emotion of the moment to overwhelm and overcome the gravity of the moment. See, sometimes it's such a big moment, you don't need to respond right away. So I do things, I put things in place. Like I never, and I mean never, do I hit reply to an email that frustrates me when I read it. I always wait. As a matter of fact, oftentimes I'll take and copy the text of the email, put it in a Word document, and then type my reply and then save it and then put it up for a day or two and then come back. And when I come back and read that thing, oh my goodness. And I know you guys are using AI all the time. Try this one time. Try taking your raw response, putting it in AI and asking AI to tell you how it sounds. And you will be surprised at what comes through in written communication. So the goal is that we have to apply what we've learned. And the problem is if you're not consistently, constantly, always applying yourself to learning, you'll be using old techniques. You'll have old ideas. You'll have old thoughts. And when you have those old thoughts, you can't get good information. So I want you to make sure that you are always learning and then you are applying or properly applying what you've learned, which is wisdom. Now, sometimes it can seem overly simplified and you see people people who are great decision makers, right? It just seems like they have a gut or a knack for decision making when some people do. There are some who can do that, but most people who make great decisions have a great system and they use wisdom as a part of the development of the system. If I know, I mean, listen, I know I'm not talking to you and I know this doesn't apply to you, but some of our colleagues are hotheads. They're very emotional. In the business space, we call them extremely passionate leaders, and we want passionate, motivated leaders. But they tend to ruffle feathers oftentimes because they speak so passionately, so energetically, so aggressively. So what wisdom might look like for that individual is they have the capacity to learn. So they can learn through teaching that the way they speak that they call normal is actually offensive to others. They think they're motivating people and they think that fear is a good motivator. They find out that it's not sustainable. And so you can teach them new techniques because they have the capacity to learn. Now, the leader who understands that about themselves will then begin to apply that. That is a wise leader. See, usually we are so focused on trying to get everything done and moving up the corporate ladder and trying to move and get our deadlines in that we miss it. But I'm telling you, wisdom is worth taking the time. You got to understand, you have capacity. You can learn, but without teaching, you won't learn. So I'm a firm believer in mentorships. I'm a firm believer in coaching. Why do I believe in coaching? Because a coach will help you get from where you are to where you want to be, and they will help you do something that you cannot do on your own. What is that? Identify your blind spots. The reason we call them blind spots is because we can't see in that space. Even though it's normal and everyone around you knows it about you, you just don't see it yourself. So that's what we want to do. Is we want to be wise leaders who are applying wisdom. This is moving so quickly for me. Just make sure that you have some very specific vehicles where you get your information. I am one who is a firm believer in, I have several events that I attend on an annual basis that I have found great value in that help me to grow in multiple areas of my leadership journey. And so I'm going to invest in myself, not just the finances, but also the time. I want to sharpen my talent. Remember, I always tell you this, you can grow your strengths exponentially while you can only move your weaknesses marginally. So we're not trying to make us strong where we're weak. We want to be serviceable. There are some things in your weaknesses area that are just non-negotiables. You can't have weak character. You can't have weak integrity. You have to fix those, but you don't have to like social media. You don't have to like organization. You can have someone else do those things for you. You don't have to be the one that has to communicate the message. There are people who are more congenial than you are who might do that better. You may be the visionary. You may like to do the spreadsheets in the back of the office, but when you know your strengths, you can grow them exponentially. So I want you to become a wise leader, one who is always learning and applying the knowledge that they have, separating themselves as a leader. All right, so that's wisdom. Now, so let's backtrack really quickly. We have generosity, being a generous leader. Don't be stingy with what you have to offer as a leader through your experience. Relationships. Invest in good, strong relationships. Understand the closer they get to the core, the more difficult they can be to manage simply because of capacity, okay? So you got your generosity, your relationships, now your ownership. We just talked about this ownership thing where no passing the buck. You are accountable, you are answerable. And now you want to put wisdom on the table to make sure that you continue learning and that you always apply what you learn. Now, let's move to the next part. I talked about this in the last point, but it's so significant that I thought it important to bring it as its own point on my growth journey. So, generosity, relationships, ownership, wisdom. Now you must be teachable. You could use trainable, but I'm using teachable there. And that means that to be teachable means that you are a willing learner and you understand the importance of learning. You cannot teach someone who knows everything, anything. Have you ever talked to someone, no matter what the story you say, they have to one up you? Oh yeah, I know that. Or, oh yeah, we did that back in the day. Yes, I've had that experience. Whatever the story is, they have one bigger, better, stronger, faster than you. That's a person who's not teachable. And so there's a story that I've heard for years, and I'm going to share it here with you because if you're teachable, you are going to be a transformational leader. The story is there's a 18-wheeler and it's going under a bridge. And as it goes under the bridge, the driver thought he had room to clear based on the feet and inches that were there, thought that the trailer would make it, but the trailer didn't make it and it got stuck. So the driver tries to pull forward. He can't pull forward. He tries to move backwards. He can't move backwards. And he gets stuck. So the first place they call are emergency services. Emergency services comes out, and then they call structural engineers, and they have this great team out there. Well, there's a little boy on the side of the road, and he's watching what's going on, and he goes up and says, "Hey, mister, I can help you move your truck." He says, "Son, not now. This is very serious. This is very serious. I'm sorry, I just can't." And they work for hours. And the little boy comes back and says, "Hey, mister, I can help you get the truck out. I promise." He says, "Son, I appreciate it, but really, I don't have time. And you're really starting to annoy me. So please leave me alone." Little boy is resilient. He just doesn't care about rejection. He believes in what he has. So he tries one more time. Hey, mister, I can help you move the truck." The guy says, "Well, nothing else has worked. And if I don't let this kid tell me what he has, he's going to not stop. So, okay, son, just fine. Tell me your idea." He says, "If you just let the air out of the tires on the trailer, it'll go straight through the bridge." All the engineers, all the first responders, all the thinkers couldn't figure it out. The little boy said, "Let the air out of the tires." See, when you're teachable, it doesn't matter how simple it is. It only matters if it works. And so that's how you can grow through things. And I know you're not that person. I know you'd let a kid tell you to let the air out of the tires, but I thought I'd share that with you because you have to be humble in learning. You have to be humble. It doesn't matter age, qualifications, pedigree, background. Everyone has something to offer, and no one is an expert at everything. So you have to be careful that you are humble, that you are teachable. And not only that, you have to have people help you. I told you I'm a fan of coaching. Find a mentor, find resources that can equip you, people who know more than you. Keep yourself up to date on your industry because everything is changing at the speed of light and impacts your bottom line. It impacts your people that work for you. There's a whole lot of things there. Team members are going through things, but if you're teachable, you will be a consumer of information. When you're a consumer of information, then you can grow. Now, oh goodness, let me pause just for a minute. Let me just pause. I have to share this with you, and this may be a bit uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And I believe it's going to hurt you as much as it hurt me. You have to be willing to receive and embrace feedback and constructive criticism. Oh no. You mean I have to let somebody else tell me how bad I am? I have to let someone else tell me that I didn't do it correctly. I have to let someone else tell me. See, I didn't say abusive criticism. I said constructive. The key to the word constructive is it constructs, it builds up. And so when you have someone who is willing to help you and will tell you when you get it right or when you get it wrong, they help you to get better. As a speaker, one thing I do at every talk I give is I ask for feedback. And I give every answer they can give me is not, he did great. I want to know, was this good enough? Was this the best? And I get all kinds of answers. I'm thankful that I get good feedback, but I've also gotten some good feedback that wasn't necessarily positive. I've gotten feedback that wasn't negative, but it helped me. One piece of feedback about a particular talk that I do, they said, listen, in this talk, I would love for you to have more audience participation because this would help us. Great feedback. I did a handout for a talk. And this handout, it was so pretty. It's in my brand colors and it's beautiful. And they were writing on it. And I had put one of the backgrounds as a colored background. Well, someone said, we love the information on the feedback that you give us on the handout, and we're glad you gave that to us, and we're also glad that you sent us the soft copy digitally. But the one you gave us to write on, it was hard for my pen to write on that ink. You might consider using white in those boxes. That's a permanent change I've made to my handouts that I would have never have made if I wasn't willing to receive constructive criticism. Oh my goodness. Listen, you are listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne, here each and every week to add value to you and your leadership team. We are talking about my word for the year. We are talking about growth. We've talked about generosity, relationships, ownership, wisdom, and being teachable. Now, if I could step into your personal space, I've got to come in order for this to work. You got to let me in. Yeah, I'm knocking. You got to let me in the door. I'm coming in. The last thing I want to talk to you about is so significant. If you're going to grow in your branding, in your business, as a leader, in your personal life, you're going to have to address your health. I know, listen, I know nobody likes doctors. Nobody likes doctor's appointments. Nobody likes medicine. Nobody likes eating healthy. We all like everything well, let me speak for me. I was about to put that on you guys. I love desserts. A dessert and a coffee is just the way to end a good meal that had fried chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy. And yeah, you know what I'm saying. Well, obviously you can't eat like that every day. Just can't happen. We're not working in the field anymore. So I want you to understand that your health, your physical health, is extremely important. But not only your physical health, what about your emotional health? What about your spiritual health? So when I look at this, I'll kind of back into this. When we talk about your physical health, um, uh, there's a commercial on television that says that a body in motion stays in motion. So you have to be able to keep up with the rigors of your job and what you're doing and the overcommitments that you make. You have to be healthy. So that requires some type of physical movement, and you want to do that so that you can enjoy the journey. Personally, I'll tell you right now, I've got 5 grandkids, and my children laugh at me because every time the kids come to see Mama and Pawpaw, they come to our house, and when they come, before they get there, and I know they're coming, I go to my bedroom, I change my clothes, I put on some loose athletic shorts and pants and some sneakers, and I get ready because they're going to have me on the floor, and I want to be able to move. Physical health affords me the privilege and the opportunity to play with my grandchildren. It also affords me the opportunity to go to the studio and record, go to an engagement speak, go to my office and write, go to a client coach. It doesn't matter. You have to be healthy physically. And so I want you to understand the significance of that. But not just that. I want to talk about your emotional health. Your emotional health. Emotional health is directly attached to your stress level. See, when you get overly stressed and you have anxiety and things of this nature, understand how I mitigate my emotional health is through my physical health as well, because my body ends up taking on sometimes things that are happening in me emotionally. So when I go to my chiropractor, they ask me, sir, what are you thinking about this week? What have you done? Because my muscles are reflecting that there's something going on in my emotions. So I have to ease the pain in the body, and I also have to give space. I'll give you one trick on this for your emotional health. Put white space in every day. What is white space? Just that, where you do absolutely nothing. I'm not talking about your sleep. That's your resting time. I'm not talking about time where you get together and prepare your day or unwind from your. I'm talking about time that is not obligated to anyone for anything. It's simply meant for you. For me, I love some smooth jazz and a nice ice cold drink to sit back and relax and just kind of chill for a minute. That white space, if it's done 15 minutes here or 30 minutes there, will help you to decompress and to de-stress. Make sure that you are making great decisions. When you make decisions and you get things off of your plate, they don't keep bothering you. I've coined this phrase, and what I call it is my emotional real estate. I don't allow anyone to occupy my emotional real estate. I have no space available for lease or for rent. There are no co-owners. It's my emotional real estate. And I work very hard to protect that so that I can be the most productive that I can be. And then finally, I want to talk to you. I used the word earlier, spiritual. I'll call it your guiding principles. I'm a person of faith, so my faith dictates to me what I do. Whatever is your true north in life, make space for that. That's going to help you be balanced, not only in your personal working, but in your employer and everything else you do. So I want you to take time to make sure that you focus on your health. It's important that you focus on your health. I've taken you through this as much as I can, but it's about you. So as a leader, my friend, generosity is critical. Relationships are critical. Ownership, game changer. Wisdom makes you transformational. Teachable keeps you growing. And then your health allows you to meet the high demands that you've placed on yourself. Listen, that's all for my time this week. You have been listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Super excited you're in the room. Thank you. Make sure you check us out on social media at Rodney R. Payne. Follow, like, subscribe, and share. As always, my friends, thank you for being in this room. It means the world to me to add value to you and your leadership team. You have been listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Until next time, my friends, let's keep growing together.
You've been listening to Speaking with One Voice. Please remember to follow Rodney Payne on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rodney R. Payne. We'd love to hear from you and get your feedback, so please feel free to leave us comments. And if you would, rate and subscribe to the podcast, we'd appreciate that as well. Don't forget to set up for notifications so you can get the latest updates and social media posts and get new podcasts when they're released. As always, use the hashtag Speaking with One Voice or simply SWOV on any of your social media posts.